Good afternoon. I'm Stephanie Freed, and I'm so glad you're able to join us for today's episode of From the Wings. Today is episode 5. It's incredible that we're already here. We're already at episode 5, and I'm just so grateful that so many of you have tuned in and explored so many interesting topics with us. As we plan for these next several months, we have a lot of good stuff still to come. So, I hope that you'll come back. You'll join us each time. The good stuff doesn't stop today. It actually starts today with our conversation with Steve Collins, Executive Director of the Hartford Symphony Orchestra. I'm particularly excited for today's conversation because the HSO is such an important part of what happens at the Bushnell. The symphony and the Bushnell, we share a very special relationship. And I know I speak for all of us when I say what a great source of pride it is for us at the Bushnell that the HSO has chosen us to be their home. This orchestra, like the Bushnell, has seen difficult times before. And one thing I can say for certain is that they have always come out stronger. And I know that this will be no different. Before we begin today, I'd like to play a short video for you. This video was a result of a collaboration between the HSO and the Bushnell and features 46 of the HSO's orchestra members playing their instruments from home and 20 community partners all coming together in a video that celebrates our everyday heroes, our essential workers who are making sure we all make it through this pandemic. Let's go ahead and take a look.
Hi, I'm Carolyn Kwan, Music Director of the Hartford Symphony Orchestra. You are about to see and hear the finale from Stravinsky's Firebird, performed remotely by the HSO. In Fantasia 2000, this music is paired with imagery of a magical fairy reviving and healing the earth. We hope it lifts your spirit as you continue working your magic each day to restore our world. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts.
Such a powerful and important message in these times, but always really, it makes me think of the e-signature line of the HSO's development director, Ruth Savronsky. Uh, it's always at the bottom of her emails, and it's a quote. I believe it's Hans Christian Andersen, and it says, "Where words fail, music speaks." And I think that video is a really perfect example of the truth in that music is able to express things that we sometimes can't find the words for. So I hope you enjoyed that video. It's really beautifully done. So today, to talk about and put words to where the HSO is, how they're moving forward through these challenging times, I have with me Steve Collins. Steve is the HSO's executive director, and I'm just thrilled you're here with us, Steve. Welcome.
Stephanie, thank you. It is so great to be here. I appreciate the opportunity to talk about the Hartford Symphony Orchestra.
It's a pretty great organization. You've been with the HSO for how long, Steve?
6 years now.
Okay. That doesn't seem possible. In some ways, I feel like you've been there forever. And in other ways, I feel like, you just got here.
Yeah, I know the feeling. It's it definitely feels like it's been a long time, but it's been a great 6 years. And the thing that I really love about it is that I literally learn something new every single day. It could be a little thing, could be a big thing, but it's always been a learning experience and continues that way. It's really great.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Steve, in our time together today, I thought it would be interesting for folks to kind of take them back in time, take them back to March, and you can share with us sort of, as all of this began, how did that unfold for the symphony? And then we can talk through, coming through up to today. But let's start there. Let's start in March. What happened?
Yeah, so the evening of March 11th, we had a rehearsal at the Bushnell and Belding Theater for Masterworks concerts that weekend. It was a Wednesday night, I believe, and we finished the rehearsal around 9:30. We sent the orchestra home and basically told them, "Don't plan on coming back until you hear from us." Thinking, well, this could be a week or two, or God, what if this derails us for a month or two? How horrible that would be, right?
Right.
So, fast forward 6 months and here we are. If you had told me on the evening of March 11th that at this time, we'd still be out of the Bushnell and unable to perform indoors for live audiences, I would have been incredulous. And if you told me that, the outlook this season is a little bit rocky, right? Right through the winter, I would have thought you were a little bit crazy too. But here we are. So it's been an incredible 6 months in a lot of ways. The symphony has adapted really remarkably well, both on the artistic side and the administrative side. And I don't think I've ever been more proud to be a part of the organization, actually, in my 6 years here.
Yeah, the work you all have done, and we're going to explore that a little later in the episode. It's remarkable. I think that watching you guys, as an outsider, watching you pivot in this landscape to remain relevant and to continue to create music has been really impressive to watch. And I completely understand your pride in that for sure. So just before we get into that, tell me a little bit about what essentially losing your fall, well, the balance of the spring, Talcott this summer, and a portion of this fall's programming has meant to you guys from just purely an economics perspective.
Right. So it's been, look, I won't pull any punches. It's been tough. Like you said, we obviously canceled all of our spring programming, both on stage and in the community. During the summer, the next kind of shoe to drop was during the summer, we had to cancel what would have been our 25th annual Talcott Mountain Music Festival. And for those of you who know and love the Talcott Festival, yeah, there's a great photo of the scene out there. This is done in Simsbury every year at the Simsbury Meadows Performing Arts Center, another great partner of ours. Each year we do a 5-week festival there with weekly concerts, and anywhere between 15,000 and 25,000 people turn up for those concerts over the 5-week run. And it's an incredible celebration of the power of music and the arts to bring people together. the audience is so diverse and varied, and the music played is so diverse and varied. It's one of our pride and joys of the season. So to have to cancel that festival this summer was, I'll tell you, it to me it felt like a kick in the gut. It
Yeah, I
was
was gonna
really
say that must
it
have hurt.
was really tough. That really hurt. And to me it really hit home that, oh my gosh, this is going to be a real long haul. This is not going to be 2 months or 6 months or a little more. This is going to be a really long haul. And at that point we were seeing that concerts indoors in the fall were probably not going to be possible. Holding out hope, but probably not. And yeah, that's when it got really real. And a lot of really difficult decisions had to follow from that. So financially, it's kind of it's boy, it's been a wild ride, right? It's been a roller coaster. We were actually able to maintain all of our employees, both the orchestra and our administrative team. We kept everybody employed, everybody compensated, all the way through August 31st, all the way through the summer. And the way that we were able to do that, this is despite the fact that with the period ending August 31st, we actually lost 60% of our revenue. So, without being able to perform in large numbers, you can't sell tickets, and we have a big problem, right? So, but the way we're able to keep everybody going through August is through three means. Number one, we had a great online gala back in early May. We can touch on that later. The generosity of donors throughout this period has been truly overwhelming, really awe-inspiring.
Yeah.
Who are donating back their tickets to canceled concerts as a donation. People are making cash donations. Our corporate sponsors and foundation supporters all really came together to help us get through this. It's been truly inspiring. And then the third thing was we were able to successfully get a paycheck protection program forgivable loan from the Small Business Administration back in the spring. That was more than $500,000, and that was really instrumental in keeping the wheels turning, on the organization. We still don't know if all of that money will be forgiven, but we're working on our forgiveness application, so fingers crossed, right?
Absolutely.
So that's how we've been able to get through this period up through August 31st, and we'll come through it in decent shape. Moving forward into the fall, it's a really challenging time. We cannot, we can no longer perform outdoors because the fall temperatures make it really tough on orchestra musicians, and their instruments are really sensitive to the cool temperatures. Currently, we cannot perform indoors for audiences as the event size limit is 25 people,
right,
which includes performers, stage crew, staff, everybody in the room. So it's a really tough time for us right now, and unfortunately we had to make some very, very difficult decisions around reducing our forces both on stage and on the administrative team. Mm-hmm. So it's a tough moment for us right now, and it stings. It really does hurt. But we're starting to look forward to what the next step will be to start to bring a number of our people back and to do the performing that we can as allowed by state regulations. And in the meantime, we continue to produce a lot of great digital content. I know you want to talk about that.
Absolutely, I do. Before we move into that, I just want to make an observation. One of the things over the it's about 6 years now that I've been fortunate enough, had the good fortune to work alongside the symphony at the Bushnell. One of the things I've seen that has impressed me so much is the commitment of your donors. Your donors, it is my observation, are an extension of your orchestra. They're an extension of who you guys are. That sort of, it's family, and the level of investment it's laudable. It's pretty remarkable how they engage with you. So, yeah, I mean, their continued commitment to you, it is, I imagine, humbling, and also so necessary.
It's truly awe-inspiring. The Hartford Symphony Orchestra is their orchestra.
Mhm.
You know, the orchestra belongs to the people who support it and come to concerts and events, and they take as much pride in it as we do.
Absolutely.
And that's it's really gratifying and heartwarming. It is like family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a remarkable organization, remarkable cadre of donors. It's pretty great. So yes, let's talk a little bit about, so in this time, okay, March came, we realized, okay, it's more than a couple of weeks. Maybe it's 8 to 12 weeks. You were faced with some crazy decisions to make. And I'm talking specifically now about the gala that you mentioned. Your gala was supposed to be May 16th or something?
No, it was earlier than that. It was May.
Oh, okay.
I think it was May 2nd, actually.
Okay. Okay. And so you had to decide what you were going to do there.
Yeah, it was. It was. You know, the dust kind of settled, and before you knew it, it was kind of March 22nd or so, and we were scheduled to have 450 guests for a traditional dinner party gala with a full orchestra performance and guest artists and the whole 9 yards at the Connecticut Convention Center on May 2nd. And it's kind of like we all woke up one morning and said, "Oh my God, we can't do this," you know. So very quickly, you know, we had to make a decision. Do we just cancel the gala? Do we postpone it to a later date and see if we can get in the convention center, or do we produce an online digital event? And what seemed most sensible at the time, and I'm so glad we made this decision, I think we made the right decision, was to produce a digital event. So in about 4 or 5 weeks, we pulled all our resources together and got a lot of help from the outside, from fantastic people, and did a 45-minute online gala. And we had musicians performing, we had special guests, we had our gala hosts talking to the audience. Our music director, Carolyn Kwan, played a prominent role, and it was an incredible event. We had almost 1,000 people tune in and watch live on that evening, and then tons more after the fact, view the recording of the event. And it was extremely successful. You know, the purpose of the gala is to celebrate our donors and the support that they give, and to raise funds to keep the magic alive, right?
Yep.
And at the end of the day, the digital event did very, very well. We can't thank our donors and sponsors enough. And it was a pivotal moment in this COVID period, because aside from providing financial resources and having a successful event, what that night meant to us is that it gave us the confidence and the courage and the belief in our creativity and resourcefulness that no matter what happens, no matter how long this crisis goes on, we will find a way to not only get through it, but to make the most of it,
Mm-hmm.
to capitalize on our opportunities. And you know, there's going to be struggle and compromise along the way, but at the end of the day, we will get through this, and we'll come out of it a stronger, more creative, confident organization. And you know, there are opportunities ahead of us.
Yeah, you know, I know I've had my hand in a few galas, and they take a year to plan, you know, and that you guys in effectively 4 or 5 weeks totally changed the direction and created a brand new gala. It was like magic. I mean, I think there was like extra special help from the universe coming your way to make that happen, and so beautifully, so successfully. It was really good stuff, and I understand. You know, I am so grateful for y'all to have had that confidence base so that you could move forward, because I've seen you doing amazing stuff, both virtually, online only, and then some small concerts that were held over the last couple of months. Can you tell us a little more about that, about what that confidence enabled y'all to do?
Yeah, absolutely. So from that point forward, from that gala moment forward, we were in it to win it, so to speak, right? We had our confidence up, and a lot of resources were coming through, and all of a sudden, all the creative possibilities seemed open before us. So we spent the next 4 or 5 months creating a host of digital content. If people go to our website, there's a section called HSO to go.
Okay.
That's on hartfordsymphony.org. HSO to Go is our online home for all this great stuff, and there's almost 50 videos and special features on there, ranging from individual musicians performing at their homes back in the early days of COVID,
Yep.
through these great compilation videos like we saw earlier, the thank you video for essential workers, some other things like that, to special features like a recorded panel discussion on racial discrimination within the orchestra industry. We have student performers, highlights of our young artist competition, all this great stuff. And then throughout the summer, we were aiming towards outdoor performances in whatever scale we'd be permitted to produce. So from the last week of July through the second week of September, we did almost a dozen such performances, ranging from a string quartet to I think an octet was the largest group we fielded. Presented in a very safe manner, of course, at outdoor venues ranging from the Hillstead Museum in Farmington to the Simpac in Simsbury, and here in Hartford on Pratt Street and a number of other venues. And I've got to tell you, it was really, it was incredible, especially those first couple of ones we did, to get real live musicians playing real music for a real live audience, especially outdoors on a beautiful summer evening. It was magic. It's like as soon as the music started, you felt it. There was electricity in the air. Everybody on site had this great moment of, oh.
Yeah, the exhale, like, oh.
This is what it's all about.
I get that.
And as great as the online stuff is, it'll never compare. It'll never live up to the real thing. And it was really just magical. I'm so glad we were able to do that.
Me too. And I have to imagine the boost, the like sort of mental boost that must have given the musicians and the staff of the HSO as they continue to, in some ways we're kind of slogging, right? We're slogging through the uncertainty to give that boost. That must have been just palpable.
Yeah, absolutely. It was really great. And it's given us, ever since then, I've been thinking about our, of course, we've done a lot of planning and strategic work on what our plans are for this season and kind of where we're heading in the short term in this season. And I'll tell you one of the big ideas that we're really exploring, and I'm really starting to gain confidence in, is the notion that regardless of what happens between now and say May of 2021, maybe we'll be able to make to produce an extended summer season in 2021, something of like 10 to 12 weeks of concerts.
Oh, wow.
Maybe like early June through early or mid-August, centering around the Talcott Festival and in whatever fashion we're able to produce it. But, really maximizing that impact, that in-person impact in outdoor concerts, and, putting ensembles ranging from small to large everywhere throughout our community. So we'll see. We have a lot of work to do, and a lot we'll see how the situation develops, right, over the next 6 months or so. I'm starting to really think about that as a big possibility.
That's exciting. I'm definitely going to have to bring you back to talk more about that when you know more about what that's going to look like.
Yeah.
For sure. So you mentioned a little bit ago a panel discussion. I'm assuming it was Zoom, around diversity, equity, and inclusion. I think it was called Confronting Anti-Black Racism in American Orchestras.
Right.
Yeah. Tell me a little bit about what precipitated that conversation, the conversation itself, and what next steps you guys might be considering coming out of that.
Right. So this has been a really great journey for the last for almost 2 years now. We've had a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee within the HSO that has met to do two things. The first job was to really get a grip on our diversity statistics internally and how they compare to the industry, to our community, to Connecticut, to the nation, to really understand where we are, how we fit in or don't fit in, and what our starting point is. And then the second task was to take a real hard look at those realities and start to develop priorities and strategies for change. And change is needed, frankly, at every aspect, every level of our organization.
Okay.
We need to create a more ethnically and racially diverse organization to better reflect our community, and to better equip us to create the most interesting and diverse programming, to engage all people throughout our community, not just those who are traditionally associated with orchestral music.
Sure.
So this has been a really interesting journey, and the events of the last 6 months or so, starting with the tragic killing of George Floyd, has really amped up that work, and it really forced us to take a really hard look at our mission, our vision, our values, and make sure that they're all aligned around maximizing our opportunities and creating an environment where everyone is truly welcome. Not just because we want to be a welcoming organization, but we have to walk the walk and talk the talk, right? And that's just not saying that you want to be welcoming. It's making sure that you are welcoming,
Right.
and that you are creating diverse programming and engaging all members of your community. So
And
this is
living into those values, right? Living into the values you're espousing.
right. So we hosted this panel discussion on July 7th, I believe it was.
Okay.
And this was the brainchild of our education and community engagement manager, Timothy Brown, a great member of our team. He created this panel discussion to really dig into some of the issues that have plagued the orchestra industry for a long time, around the way that musicians are auditioned and hired, and how there's some real built-in systemic problems within the orchestra industry. And it's no secret, if you look at most American orchestras, most orchestras around the world, frankly, are predominantly white. And that's a problem, and it's unacceptable. And we all have to take responsibility for that and begin that change process. So if you go on our website, you will find an area that articulates our commitments to change in this area. And there's about a dozen of them. They're very specific changes we need to make, with strategies and goals associated with them, and some timelines. And we're waist deep in the work, and it's been invigorating. It's really important.
And that website again is hartfordsymphony.org, right?
That's right. Yep.
Perfect. Terrific. Yeah, I look forward to learning more. I think this conversation is so important. It's important within orchestras. It's important within the theater community. It's important within the arts community on whole. And obviously it's important. It's an important conversation in our nation. So, I was able to watch that panel discussion, and we're making great first steps. And as you said, there's still a road we have to walk to live into our values and to live into who we want to be. Before we go, because it's amazing, we're nearly out of time, I really want to hear about the things you have coming up that folks can plug into virtually or in person, or whatever you've got going. So what's in this next term?
Right. Yeah. Thank you. So, everything at this point is online. It's all digital, and the bunch of exciting things coming up. Next weekend, October 1st through 4th, we're hosting the East Coast premiere of a really wonderful feature film called The Bow Makers, which is about the art and tradition of making bows for string instruments.
Okay.
So this is really great. So we're hosting the East Coast premiere viewings. And on Saturday, October 3rd at 7 p.m., there's a great question and answer session with the director of the film, some of the people featured in the film, our concert master, one of our violinists is moderating the discussion. It should be a really great event.
Wonderful.
And following that, the following weekend, October 9th through 11th, we have the first installment of our new monthly series called Masterworks in Depth, which is a deep dive, kind of behind the scenes look at the music that it was programmed to be featured in our Masterworks concerts this season. And that's hosted by our music director, Carolyn Kwan, with special guests like composers and artists that are featured in these programs. And it's a fascinating look at the stories behind the music, all that makes it work. And then the next big thing that happened is the launch of our new monthly digital chamber ensemble concert series.
Okay.
So the early days of November, exact dates to be solidified shortly,
All right.
will be the first of our monthly concert series featuring ensembles ranging from quartets to maybe up to 10 musicians. 60-minute programs produced exclusively for online access at great locations around the community.
Oh, that's exciting. I can't wait for all of that. The Bowmakers film, I'm especially interested in. I'm fascinated by bows and how they're constructed and the materials that are used to construct them. So I can't wait for that. That'll
That's
be
it.
great. Yeah. Well, Steve, again, I can't believe our time's already up. It goes like that. But I really appreciate you joining me today and giving us all a look at where the symphony is, where it's headed. So thanks again for joining us.
Great. Thanks to you, Stephanie. It's been great. And we'd love to come back in a few more months and talk about kind of like the second half of the season and where things are going.
We'll get that scheduled.
Awesome.
Thanks, Steve.
So long.
Like the symphony, the Bushnell depends on private support now more than ever. We're especially grateful in these challenging times for the continued commitment of our funders. On your screen are many of our current corporate and foundation supporters. It's thanks to their generosity and the support of our individual donors that we're able to continue our work to bring the very best in arts education and the performing arts, both virtually and when the time is right and it's safe to do so, live on our stages and in classrooms. And also your support, your individual support of the Bushnell, it means so much. If you'd be interested in making a gift today, we invite you to visit us at bushnell.org/donate now. Your support makes sure, again, that we are here and ready to welcome you back when the time is right. And as I do every time at the end, I want to encourage each of you, if you haven't already, to sign up for our e-club. You can do so at bushnell.org/e-club, where you'll get all the most up-to-date information. We send great arts resources every week through our curtain call email. I hope you'll join us there and follow us on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all the usual places. So with that, I'm going to wrap things up today. I invite you to join us for our next From the Wings on Thursday, October 8th, where we are going to talk to members of the Northeast Total Inclusion, Diversity, and Equity Roundtable. This group is doing a deep dive into a lot of the things we were just talking with Steve about regarding diversity, equity, and inclusion. Our special guests will be Dawn Peterson-Jones and Timothy Brown, and I hope you'll be able to join us for that. But for today, I thank you again for joining us, and until next time, take good care.